I'm rolling.
Jeff Garlin, who is an executive producer on the film, he has, or he early on was sort of a champion of the project. He himself is a photographer and collects photography. When he got involved in the project, he and John talked about finding a partner to work on it with him. And Jeff got in touch with Michael Moore, who is my mentor as in the documentary and comedy world. And Michael suggested my name. Jeff gave me a call out of the blue, said, "What do you know about Vivian Maier?" Said, I vaguely remember hearing about the story, and he said, "Why don't you, search her name?" And of course, by the time I Googled her name, there was a lot more than when John did. And so I picked up the phone and called Jeff back and said, how do I start? I'm in.
Well, I knew that, my story had to be a part of this somehow, or else it would be very difficult for us to tell, how this was all kind of discovered and everything. So I kind of gotten used to it, We see so many edits of the film, and you're just so used to seeing your face, but I couldn't go to the first premiere, sit in the audience, and watch myself on the screen. I might go today, though. So we decided that we wanted to have it, the film made more of like a personal, kind of like a homemade approach where, you see the evidence and you see these confessions or kind of things. And yeah, so it was something, an aesthetic that we wanted to go for. The first thing I discovered was, of course, that she was a nanny, and that was just interesting. And then when the other subjects came out and had stories about, how she was such an eccentric caretaker, she would bring home a dead snake, for example, and show the kids, or when she would take them on these wild adventures, I thought, this is an interesting person. They described her a lot like Mary Poppins, So, yeah, that was what drove me to want to make a documentary about the whole process. When we got to this point in the film, we had to stop and say, are we going to do this or not? It changes everything. And we decided we have to. There's no way around it.
Vivian's an incredible character. I think any time you make a film, on some level, you fall in love with the character. You fall in love with your subject. You would be crazy to spend 4 years of your life working on a project where you didn't feel that way. She's incredibly funny. She's incredibly smart. She was obviously a brilliant artist. All of these things are, what make her an exceptional character in the film, and an exceptional person, an exceptional photographer. Learning something that doesn't fit with that picture, that that she was a more complex person, that she was a more troubled person, that she maybe was not the greatest nanny in the world, to put it lightly. When we started to learn some of that information, I think it was that was something we had to reconcile with the portrait that we were making of this brilliant artist who was juggling this double life. It was another layer, it was another complication in the story. It's a facet of the story, but it's only one facet of a many-faceted story and personality.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have to, of course, what I said in the film is I feel uncomfortable, and to a degree that, I will eventually be making some sort of money, okay, off the sale of the prints and stuff. But that's not going to be done unless the work is moving forward. So spending 5 or 6 years to get to where I am now. The archive still hasn't made money, but it will. There's an insane amount of expenses, and scanning is a major one, and archiving. I think that I deserve some sort of payment for doing the amount of work, or else I can't physically do it. Okay, that's just, I'm just being frank. I can't work for free, or I will literally die. You know, so I have to get some sort of payment. So I mean, I am uncomfortable that, yeah. I mean, it's just natural, I think, to feel this way. Vivian she died poor. You know, so. You know, and I wrestled with that for a long time, but in order for the work to move forward, we have to make money, to archive it, to do the websites, and to print it, to store it in a safe facility, and to buy equipment, and to research, and to pay genealogists and attorneys and whatever. You know, it's a lot of money. Yeah, I mean, I could say that for me, doing this film while having, you know, possession of 90% of all of her work. If you're asking, I'm going to say that I treated this film completely unbiased. I wasn't going to allow myself to say, well, this is going to help promote this. You know, I said this is a film, and whether or not it affects us in a positive or negative way, so be it.
You know, John has you could say a direct financial interest in Vivian being portrayed in the most positive light possible. And we had conversations about, when we learned some of this darker stuff about Vivian, we had conversations about you know, how that might impact her perception in the world, her legacy, etc. And he was, and to his credit, without hesitation, absolutely willing to let the story take us wherever it might, and to follow the story wherever it would lead. We were willing to let the darker part of it be a part of the story, but we certainly didn't want it to dominate, because it is just one part of her story, and it's a significant part, but it is a small part. It's one
Yep.
You know, single aspect of a multifaceted character and story.